All right, everybody. Hopefully you had a chance to get a little bite to eat, and we are ready to start up our afternoon session. I have Dr. Victoria Serban here from Signia, and she is the clinical education specialist for Signia. She covers another big territory, these people that normally get to travel all over: Northern California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and the beautiful state of Alaska. I don't have a detailed bio, but luckily she's prepared to share a little bit about herself with us before we get started. So I just want to thank you for your participation and your willingness to provide the class for us today, and also to Signia, as always, for their continued support of WHS. You guys have been awesome to us, and the donation of hearing aids is much appreciated and definitely helps fund our society for another year. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, I know that we are super excited to be a part of this, and thank you so much for asking us. So like Sandy mentioned, I'll just do a brief introduction of myself. I am an audiologist by practice and by trade. I'm originally from the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. I'm actually in Virginia right now visiting my parents, so my accent tends to get a little bit more twangy when I'm home in the South, so watch out for that a little bit. Went to undergraduate at Radford University in Southwestern Virginia, and then I got my master's and my doctorate at the University of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And as Sandy mentioned, I have a pretty large territory that I cover, Washington being one of those. So I'm excited to get to see you guys and hopefully work with you in the future. I am currently living in Portland, Oregon. So I'm still mostly on the West Coast, except for right now, just a brief little interlude here in the South. And I do have a little Chihuahua rescue, and she is currently being entertained by my parents, but there's always a possibility she'll run up and interrupt my presentation. So just beware if she happens to poke her little head in. And I know that the territory account manager for Signia, Ray McNiven, is actually on the call as well. And I know he just wanted to pop his head in and say hello. So I'm going to hand it over to him really quickly so he can say hi.
Hey guys, thank you for inviting us and letting us be part of the meeting. I just wanted to take a minute and say hi. I know this world that we've been in is really quite strange. I actually got to travel for, I think, my second trip since this all started just earlier this week, and it was nice to get out and stretch my legs. So I am doing some local travel, but nothing to extent. So it is good to see some faces. I think I'm getting tired of looking at myself in the mirror here, and I certainly know my wife is ready for me to be back on the road. So let's all keep our fingers crossed we can get back up and going again. Victoria's going to show you some pretty neat stuff today. If you guys have any questions at all, any curiosities, feel free to reach out to myself or Victoria. We are more than happy to help. Being in the virtual world that we are actually is beneficial in one way, that is that we can be a little bit more responsive. So we're happy to do one-on-ones, even if it's a quick 15-20 minute conversation. I'm finding that folks are more receptive to shorter but maybe more often interactions with us. So if you see something and you want to know a little bit more about it, let us know. We're happy to dive in and show you what we can do for you. So again, thank you very much. And hopefully the auction goes well. If you have any questions relative to that, feel free to reach out to me directly. And whoever the winner is, definitely let me know and we'll get that headed your direction. So thank you all. And I'll turn it back over to Vic.
Thanks, Ray. All right, so just have a quick disclosure just for the continuing education piece of all of this. I do have a relevant financial relationship in the products and services that we're going to talk about, in that I am a clinical education specialist with the education and training team with Signia, and I do receive a salary for this position, and I do not have any other non-financial relationships to disclose. So we're going to just jump right in and talk about our technology, which is super exciting. Our new processing chip is called Your Sound Technology. And what we are doing with our new processing chip is we are utilizing acoustic and motion sensors in order to more precisely analyze the soundscape so that the degree of directionality and noise reduction can really be personalized for every wearer, whether they are in quiet, whether they are in noise, whether they are standing still, or whether they are in motion. And with this situational analysis, Your Sound Technology predicts the optimal application of what we call our dynamic soundscape processing, which is really just the way our acoustic sensors and our motion sensors are all working together. So that dynamic soundscape processing works in conjunction with our own voice processing in order to really highlight what matters most to the hearing aid wearer. So with our Your Sound technology, of course, our #1 objective is to always maintain the best speech intelligibility possible for any given situation. But then we also want to provide the listener with other environmental cues that are really critical for maintaining a sense of awareness within the soundscape. So now I'm going to kind of go through and explain those acoustic sensors as well as that motion sensor and how they are all working together. So these are our 7 sensors that make up our dynamic soundscape processing as well as our own voice processing. So this is what makes up our chip and how it's all working together. Each of these sensors runs a constant analysis of the environment. So they are all working in tandem together, and they are all running this analysis every half of a millisecond. So it's a super fast analysis that allows the user's sound situation to change. So how do they all work together? First of all, the Your Sound technology is really going to be able to understand and adapt to any specific environment that the wearer is in. It's not going to define it into a predefined class anymore because all of these sensors are working so fast together. So we're going to take a look at how these are all working. So first, I personally think, and I know that Ray always agrees with me on this, our most exciting feature in our technology is our own voice detection. What we are doing with our own voice detection is we are continuously having a scan of the wearer's head in order to determine when the wearer is talking. So when the wearer is talking, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the gain a specified amount, and then that's going to adjust their amplification level to a more natural level. So they're going to hear their voice sounding a lot more normal with that gain reduction. The gain reduction is only going to happen when the patient is talking. As soon as they're done talking, the amplification is going to go back up to their normal levels. So that's definitely one of the most exciting features of the Signia platform. So then we are also going to determine the noise floor in a certain environmental situation. What we're doing when we're analyzing that noise floor is we're determining how much and how strong our directional microphones need to be and how activated they need to be. And then it's also going to determine how much noise reduction is going to be needed in that specific situation. Then we're also looking at a distance sensor. What this is going to do is this is going to estimate how far the target speech and environmental sounds are from the wearer. The awesome thing that our distance sensor does is this helps to resolve that age-old complaint that, you know, when our patients go out to dinner, they complain, I can hear the conversation way over there at another table far better than I can hear the conversation at my own table. And that really is a function of sound processing. So we've updated that sensor in order to help us adjust gain for sounds coming farther away to prevent that perception that they actually are closer. Then our next sensor that we're going to look at is our signal to noise ratio. What this is doing is this is running an analysis of the environment, and then it is also going to be applying more noise reduction and directionality when the signal to noise ratio is poor. And then when we have a better signal to noise ratio, we're going to be able to relax that directionality a little bit, and we're not going to need quite as much of that noise reduction from all around. And this is really to help our wearers be able to hear better in those challenging listening situations. Our next sensor is our front back detection. And what this sensor is doing is this is analyzing the direction of speech and noise and applying more directionality to those sounds that are coming directly in front of us, and then more of a relaxed directionality for speech originating from the sides and from behind. So front back detection is really balancing the directionality and spatial sound awareness when multiple target speakers are around the wearer. So we're not having that complete cutoff with our narrow directionality. We're still able to then hear sounds all around us. And then our last acoustic sensor is our ambient modulation sensor. What this sensor is doing is this is analyzing the envelope of speech and competing background noise and determining how the speech and noise management feature should address those background noise. So it's really running an analysis as to whether or not sounds are more highly modulated, as in speech sounds, or if they're more lowly modulated, like something like a fan or birds chirping in the trees, something like that, to really make sounds sound more natural in the environment as our wearers want them to. And then our last piece of all of our dynamic soundscape processing to pull everything together is, of course, our motion sensor. What our motion sensor is doing is, again, it's able to recognize when the wearer is in motion, and we are utilizing this benefit for audiological assistance. So when our wearers are starting to be in motion, the hearing instruments are going to recognize that, and it's going to relax that directionality from the front so that the user is really able to hear conversations from the side. Maybe if someone happens to be walking behind them, they're still going to have awareness of cars coming in the background. Maybe if someone on a bike has come up behind them, it's really able to open up that soundscape when they're in motion. So that's another really exciting piece to all of this. So now that you sort of understand how the experience platform functions as a whole, I'm going to start to talk about a little bit of our products. Our first product that we launched in this platform, I guess it was back in September of last year, is our Pure 312X. So a couple of exciting pieces to this device is it is a smaller device than our previous 312NX product was. You also have the ability to fit our Pure 312X as a T-coil. We have 10 exciting colors, including the two on the slide here. We have a nice rose gold, which is my #1 favorite, and then the silver version is probably comes in a close second for me. Of course, they're powered by Signia Experience, and we do have direct to iPhone connectivity, and we are able to connect to Android devices using a secondary device in our Streamline mic. And our 312X is currently available in our performance levels 7, 5, and 3, as well as our S demos. And then our next device on the Experience platform that we launched is our Pure Charge&Go X. So again, just like the 312X, this is a nice smaller device. It's 16% smaller than our Pure Charge&Go NX. We have some great rechargeability time. We can get 23 hours on a single charge without any streaming. And then we get about 20 to 21 hours with about 5 hours of streaming. One of the most exciting things for providers all around is that we now have a rocker switch on the Charge&Go, which is very exciting because you can program that rocker switch multiple different ways. Of course, again, this is powered by Signia Experience, and then the same connectivity as the 312X, as well as the same performance levels. And I do want to add, I'll get to this a little bit later in the presentation, but we also have launched our essential lines in both the 312 and the Charge&Go X. So not only are we available in the 7, 5, and 3 levels, but we've also recently launched in July the 1 and 2 essential lines in both of these devices as well. So moving on, our new charging case for our new Pure Charge&Go X devices. We're all also excited about this. We have a new protective lid over our charging case. We still use inductive charging, so there are no contacts that need to be matched up for our charging case. You just simply lay the hearing instruments into the little beds, and so we don't have a lot of dexterity issues. It does have an auto on and auto off function, so when you pull the hearing aids out of the charger, they're going to automatically turn on. When you place them back in the charger, they're going to turn off. There's a nice little bowl in the case that allows us to fit custom molds in our charging case, which is great. And it also has a dehumidifying function in the first 30 minutes of that charge. The heating cycle within the case itself runs a dehumidifying function for the hearing instruments, which I know we need that a lot up in the Pacific Northwest. So that's a great feature of these devices as well. And then the charging case has intuitive LED lights. So each light is going to represent a 33% charge. So it's going to start with 1 light, which will be 33%, 2 lights is 66% charged, and then 3 lights is going to be 99% charged, and that means you're ready to go. We also do have a fast charge option. So if your patient happens to forget to charge their hearing instruments overnight, they can just pop the hearing aids into their charger for 30 minutes, and they're going to get an additional 5 hours of wear time, which makes things nice and convenient. So in addition to our hearing instruments, we have also recently launched our CROS devices in both the 312 and the rechargeable options. So this is the world's first CROS and bi-CROS technology to benefit from those acoustic motion sensors of our Experience platform. We do still provide the ability with our CROS instruments to perform own voice processing, and we're still able to have our narrow directionality, all of this with a bi-CROS fitting. You can choose between a battery powered or a rechargeable option. And then we also have a really exciting feature in our CROS devices that I have heard a lot of positive feedback from patients and providers, in that when patients get into a moderately noisy background, the directional pattern is actually going to skew towards that unaidable ear, so the ear that is wearing the CROS, in order for that patient or that wearer to have improved speech understanding in that noisy situation, so that they're not cut off from the whole world around them. Our CROS devices are compatible with our Signia app as well as our mini pocket remote control. And then we do have a CROS mixing level adjustment within our Signia app that is available for patients to help balance their spatial benefit versus their noise level. That's a function, like I said, within the Signia app. And then we just launched last month our Stiletto X. We are all very excited about this. We've made some pretty awesome improvements on the device itself. I know Ray and myself get really excited talking about this. Of course, the Stiletto X is going to be powered by our new Experience platform, hence the X. But the Stiletto X offers just a different type of hearing instrument that we're able to offer our patients. So I'm going to start by talking about our case. We have a new case design, and this is now what it looks like. So the case itself is going to have kind of a high-tech feel and a sleek, shiny appearance to it. The hearing aids easily fit into place within that charging case, and then they can actually charge whether the case is open or closed. And again, as I talked about our intuitive LED lights on our Charge&Go devices, we also have the LED lights within our Stiletto case as well, that you can actually visualize those lights, whether the case is going to be open or closed. The great thing about Stiletto, and especially I have found in the Pacific Northwest, is for those patients who like to go off grid or they like to go on long camping trips on the weekend, we actually have charging on the go with this device. So they can take their, they can charge their hearing case on Thursday night, and then their case is going to last for another 3 full charges after that. So they can get a little bit of time on the go without having to haul all of their cords around with them. Speaking of cords, another thing we're really excited about in our new Stiletto X is we're now offering wireless Qi charging with our case. So any of the wireless chargers that you can charge your phone with, I know a lot of cars are coming out with it. I think even IKEA has furniture that you can utilize that wireless charging. So it's a really cool thing to have, even just sitting on your desk with the stiletto sitting on top of a wireless charger. It's a pretty cool tech savvy play there to get people interested more in the stiletto devices. It also is going to come with wired charging using the universal USB-C cable. So that also is making life a little bit easier with that universal cable charge as well. Just a little bit of information about our Stiletto X. We do get, on a full charge, we get 19 hours of wear time without streaming. And then we get 16 hours of wear time with 5 hours of streaming. Just like our Charge&Go's, we get a fast charge with a 30-minute charge with an additional 5 hours without streaming and an additional 3 hours with streaming. And then I'll just take a moment here and just let everybody know that we have actually donated to the auction a pair of premium top tier level Stiletto X products. So if anybody wants to bid on that, I really would recommend it. We're all really excited about our Stiletto X products. So please make a bid for those. You'll love the sound quality and the device itself. But the most exciting piece to the Stiletto X, and I know a lot of you have seen our previous models of Stiletto, but one of the things that providers said they wanted more than anything was to have exchangeable receivers. So you asked, we listened. So we are now offering exchangeable receivers. We're using the same receivers that we use on our previous RIC products, so nothing new as far as the receivers go. There are a couple of limitations with the receivers. The first being the performance, the technology level, the power level of your receivers. So we can fit a standard, medium, and power level receivers. We can't, unfortunately, do a high power receiver, and the reason for that is because we have to have that embedded ear mold on the end of the receiver. And unfortunately, that ear mold is not going to fit in the Stiletto X charging case. So we are limited in that high power receiver. And then sort of on the same lines with our lengths of receivers, we are a little limited. We can do a size 0, 1, 2, and 3. The 4 length on the same kind of level as that high power receiver is just going to be a little bit too long. So it's not going to fit within that case to charge. So otherwise we can fit all the way up to a mild to a severe hearing loss, which is very exciting for us. The other exciting piece to all of this is we have added in 2 colors to our color array here. We have our Snow White and Rose Gold, we have our Cosmic Blue and Rose Gold, and we have our Black and Silver, which we had previously. And now we're really excited because we have an all white version and an all black version as well, which look nice and sleek and pretty tech savvy. So then we also have the ability to function within the Signia app. So your patient will have full control of any programs you may put in the device and any volume changes, any tinnitus volume changes that they have access to, and they can always access their accessories here or their TV streaming here as well within the Signia app. And I'm going to take a quick pause here. I've got a keyword for you guys, and I know that this is part of your taking attendance. So if you'll please send your moderator in the chat the word Stiletto Rocks. That's your keyword here, Stiletto Rocks. And I'll let you guys type all of that in, and I'm just going to keep going here. Within all of our devices, any of our Bluetooth devices, we are able to fit those with our Streamline mic, which is my favorite accessory. It allows for hands-free calling. It has some remote control functionality. And then, of course, most importantly, it acts as a remote microphone for those really difficult speech and noise situations. And then we also have our Streamline TV device, allows users to stream their TV signal directly into their hearing aids. And then we also have our mini pocket, which will work with any non-Bluetooth devices as well as our Bluetooth devices. It's just a nice, simple remote control that we've got volume up and down changes as well as program changes there. So now we're going to move on to our next newest launch, which is our Silk X. So we are now transferring our Silk over to our Experience platform as well. So here's where we have a device where cosmetics meet performance in our Silk X. This device fits deep into the ear canal, providing a nearly invisible appearance. And the great thing about this is this is now enabled with the processing power of our Experience platform. Silk X is going to optimize speech intelligibility. It's going to reduce listening effort and provide improved situational awareness while preserving speech understanding, and includes some binaural features such as twin phone. So our device is, our Silk X is available in the 7, 5, and 3 levels, and this was also launched in the Essential levels, so it's also available in the 2 and 1 levels as well. And it now features our brand new binaural one mic directionality 2.0. So it is now twice as strong as before, and that's going to be available in our top 3 performance levels, so our 7, 5, and 3 levels. So in a binaural fitting, each hearing aid is going to receive information not only from its own microphone, but also from the microphone of the other hearing aid. So this is going to create a virtual 4 microphone network, allowing the pair of hearing aids to create that directional beam that allows for better speech understanding. We have updated our face plates. So we now have our black face plate that we had before, and then we're now offering a mocha face plate as well. And of course, the shells on those are going to be red for the right and blue for the left. The Silk X is meant for somewhere between a mild to moderate hearing loss, and it has a 113 dB gain output and a 50 dB gain. So that is good for our mild to moderate losses. And then to fit those click sleeve, or to fit the Silk devices, we recommend using our click sleeves, and they come in vented or closed options, all the way from extra small to large in size. The other exciting thing about our Silk X is we actually have launched our CROS Silk X as well, which is the world's first and only CROS CIC. And this will be compatible with those top 3 tiers. So again, the Silk 7X, 5X, and the 3X. The great thing about the Silk is we utilize a high frequency coded signal in order to use our Signia app. So patients are still able to control some functionality of their Silk devices within the Signia app. And then if they want a little bit more of a simplistic option, they can always utilize our nice little remote control there. All right, so now I'm going to move on to our essential level additions, which I've already mentioned all of these, so I won't spend too much time on these. But in our Experience platform, we have launched essential lines in the Charge&Go X, the 312X, the Stiletto X, as well as the Silk X. So now those are available all the way from 7 all the way down to 1. And then as far as our custom devices, we also still have availability on our NX platform, in our Bluetooth enabled devices on our NCO platform. I do have a nice slide here with our entire product portfolio and what we have available in our Experience platform, and then also still available on our NX platform. If anybody wants this information, you know, I'm feel free to contact me. I'm happy to email this over to you. It's always a nice little cheat sheet. I swore by these when I was in clinic. So now I'm going to change gears a little bit to the real meat of what we're going to talk about today, and that is our telehealth situation. So what we offer is Signia TeleCare. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how this functions. We're going to start by talking about our basic tuning portal. And this is a great way to allow you as the provider to stay in touch with your patients. This will all happen through the basic tuning portal through the Signia app. So it just allows for ease of communication, especially in the situation that we are all finding ourselves in now, where everything is becoming more and more virtual. So we're going to go through the whole process of how our telecare is going to work. So we're going to start with our registration process. So how do you as a provider get a telecare portal? If you don't already have one, we are happy to work with you individually. You can definitely call myself. You can call Ray. We can walk you through this. You can also call Signia Inside Audiology, and they can also help walk you through this as well. Just a couple of things to note. You do have to have a Signia account number, and then that should begin with the letter C. And if you don't have that information, one of us can definitely get that for you. And then just make sure that your account number and your account address that we have on file match what you're putting in our telecare portal for that registration process. The first person who registers for telecare, if you have a multi-person practice, the first person who submits and registers for telecare will be the organizational manager. So then now you're going to activate your patient within our telecare portal, as well as within our Connects software. And then we're going to want to make sure on your patient's end that they have the Signia app downloaded and ready to run on their smartphone. So now I'm going to take you into the Connect software so you can see how this process is going to work. Before I get into that, I do have your second keyword. So again, if you will type this in to your moderator in the chat function so that they can record this for your attendance. And the keyword is first fit. So the keyword to chat to your moderator is first fit. So now I'm going to walk through how our first fit function is going to work. Everything within our telecare applications is all going to be under that telecare drop-down menu beside the NoaLink wireless connection slot on your Connect software. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you drop down on that telecare menu is you are going to want to log in to your to our cloud-based portal, and then that will allow us to go ahead and start moving forward within the telecare functionality. Second thing you're going to do for all of your patients is you're going to activate your client. So I'm just going to make a little side note here on our Activate client. This is something that you do not have to have the patient in the office for. So if you are in your office and you have opened up your Connect software, you are able to activate your client without the patient there. So if you have somebody who maybe lives 2 hours away, can't make it to you, you can always activate them not in person, which makes things really nice for you as the provider. So once you click on Activate Client, you're going to get a new pop-up here on your screen. You have a couple of options here for activating or sending the code to your patient. So we have an activation telecare code that we use to connect. You can enter in your client's phone number here, and then it will send them a text message, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Or at the very bottom, if maybe you are setting up telecare at your first fit while your patient is still in the office, then that you can always just click on continue without mobile number, and then you are going to get this pop-up next that's going to give you your connection code. So your patient will get it on their end, and then you will also see it within the software on your end. So you can always write a note to keep down that telecare code for yourself as well. On the patient side of things, this is what they're going to see. Once we send them that connection code, they are going to get a text message from the Signia cloud, and it is going to give them their 6-digit code. It's also actually going to go ahead and embed the link to download the Signia app if they happen to have not done that yet. It will take them into the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, and then they'll be able to download the app and then go ahead and open the app. The first thing they're going to see when they open up their app is going to be they're going to see their connection options. They're going to want to select that first TeleCare code option, and then they are just going to enter in now that 6-digit code. Once they have been connected to the app, this is all they need to do. They are now connected to the app and they are set up and ready to go for TeleCare. So then if you happen to have a patient who has already been paired to their Signia app, what we're going to want to do is sort of reset things on their end. So they are going to go to the top 3 little hamburger bar there. They're going to click on that. Then the next thing that's going to show up is our settings screen. So they'll click that. Then they'll click on app settings. And then all they need to do is click on connect to TeleCare, and then they will get that pop-up screen that we saw before to enter in that 6-digit code. So now we have activated the client, so we're ready for them on our end as the provider, and now we've got the app set up and ready to go for the patient, so now they're ready on their end as well. So now we can utilize our full portal functionality. Within our basic remote tuning, within our portal, we can actually work with Bluetooth and non-Bluetooth hearing instruments. The TeleCare portal is compatible with our full Signia hearing aid portfolio, going all the way back to Primex. So it will work with Primex, NX, and Experience devices. It's compatible with most smartphones, whether they are an Apple or an Android phone. The app and TeleCare will still work for them. So now what we're going to do on our end as the provider, in order to get into our TeleCare portal, we are going to click on Open TeleCare Portal here within our software. Now we're going to be redirected into our web browser where we have things set up, where we have our TeleCare portal set up. So now what you'll do is you will select the patient that you want to work with from our drop-down screen with all of our patient information there. And then you're going to click on Remote Tuning. So now if you have already put in different programs, you are able to adjust any of those programs within the Remote Tuning functionality here of the portal. And then, but we can't add new programs. And then we also have our adjustment screen that will pop up here. So now you have the ability to do a little bit of fine tuning within some frequency bands here. We have 4 different bands that you can adjust. And then we also have our basic tuning, which is really going to look very similar to our basic tuning tab in the Connect software. You can adjust your master gain, you can adjust the loudness of speech and the loudness of their own voice. And then we can also adjust the sound quality to be softer or sharper. And then we also have the ability to do a little bit of a feedback reduction as well. Once you've made the adjustments that you are ready to make, then you'll click at the very bottom to save and send the update. Now you're going to get a pop-up that you've had success in sending out that information to your patient. So that's your notification as a provider. And then your patient on their end is going to get a notification that there has been a program update, and then they will be guided to apply that change. So they'll go ahead and apply that change. And then we have 2 different solutions on how they are aware that that change has actually been made. So if they have a Bluetooth device, they're going to get a big check mark saying the update installation was successful. And then in any of our non-Bluetooth devices, so even our Silk devices, they will send the app will send a high frequency tone, and then your patient will just say yes or no as to whether or not they heard that confirmation tone. And then that will allow us to know that that change was actually applied to their hearing instruments. On your end as the provider, if you go into the messaging tab within the portal, you're going to see a little notification that you have sent your update to the universal program, and then you will get a notification as well on the patient's end to show them that that change was applied. So I know this is all a lot of information, and I'm always happy if anybody is interested on a one-on-one appointment. I'm always happy to talk about this in a lot further detail. But now I also want to talk about our full live remote tuning. So this is another different exciting piece to our TeleCare functionality. So there are a couple of things that you as the provider, as well as what the patient is going to need in order to run the full live remote tuning successfully. First and foremost, we have to use our Signia hearing aids with Bluetooth, and they can be on the NX or the Experience platform, but they must have Bluetooth. The reason for that is because basically our app is going to turn into our NoaLink wireless. So that's how we're going to be able to connect the hearing aids directly to our software. You always, for any of our TeleCare functionality, whether it's through the portal or the full live remote tuning, you have to complete that first fit for the hearing aids in the Connect software. Then you're going to want to make sure that you activate the patient for TeleCare. So the same thing that we did before for the basic tuning, it's all going to remain the same. And then of course we want to make sure the Signia app is installed on their smartphone. On your end, we really recommend that it's required that you have at least a microphone for a voice call. And then we also have the opportunity to use a webcam for a video call. I know a lot of providers are starting to use the webcam a lot more because it feels a little bit more personal in these times that we're in right now. The other thing that's going to be most important for both you and the patient, so we need to make sure that we have a very stable internet connection for both sides of this, because if one of us has a bad internet connection, you wouldn't be surprised to know that then the call is going to drop. We're going to have connectivity issues. It's just not going to work well if we don't have good connection. So just to reiterate, our full live remote tuning can actually work as an appointment. So you would set an appointment, say with Victoria on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock, and then you as the provider will have your webcam or your headset ready to go. You will have your Connect's patient file up and ready to go. Your patient on their end should be wearing their hearing aids with either new batteries for a battery-powered device or fully charged in a rechargeable device. Make sure their phone is fully charged. We don't want to have a 10% phone situation and we lose connectivity there. And we're also recommending that the patient go ahead and have their Signia app open before we actually connect to them. So now what is this going to look like on your end? We are going to go back to our TeleCare drop-down menu, and we are going to click now on Start Remote Session. So this is where we're going to run everything through our Connect software. So we're going to select the type of calls. You will have a choice whether you want to do a video call or a audio call. So you can choose whichever works better for you. Once the connection has been made, it actually shows up on your phone as an actual phone call. So the patient will just answer the call. It will look like it's coming from the Signia app, and they'll answer the call just like normal. Once that initial connection has been made, then now is when we're going to turn our phone and our app into the NoaLink wireless. So now you'll click on Connect to Hearing Instruments, and now the phone will connect the hearing instruments to your software. So once you have established your patient connection and then your hearing aid connection, you'll minimize this little pop-up screen. And now you're able to go in and do the complete functionality within the Connect software. There are a couple of limitations that I'll go over in just a second, but you can pretty much have access to almost every piece of the software. There are always things that we don't necessarily recommend, like own voice processing. I do know some people have been running it successfully. So, I think it's just you having confidence in the patient that they have the hearing instruments in their ear all the way, that, you know, they're going to be able to be loud enough that they're not around any reflective surfaces. But, you know, it's not something we recommend across the board, but sometimes you have to have access to that. You can add in programs, you can add in your tinnitus masker, you can do basic tuning, fine tuning, I mean, really just anything within the software. When you are finished with your adjustments, you want to make sure where the number 2 arrow is there at the bottom, it's going to be just a little section letting you know that the hearing instruments are still programming. Don't end your session if that little wheel is still turning. It will stop turning when the programming has been sent to the hearing instrument. Once you have completed all of that, then you can go ahead and click on End Remote Session, and then that will end your call, and it will, and then you'll just need to go ahead and save your Connects fitting session. I mentioned there are a couple of limitations to all of this. A couple of things. Number one, we can't do a CROS fitting within Signia TeleCare at this time. We also can't do the in-situ-gram. We can't do any of that pitch matching for notch therapy in the same reasons that we can't use the in-situ-gram. If you are utilizing notch therapy and you have pitch matched in the booth previously, you can still activate the notch therapy by entering in that matched pitch there. As I already said, just because you can doesn't mean we necessarily recommend all of the adjustments that you can make. You know, sometimes we really have more complex operations that take longer to complete and really require a strong internet and data connection with no interruption in service. So we just want to be careful that we have enough power and enough connectivity in order to really utilize all of these different options that we have available. One other caveat to all of this that I actually have had quite a few questions about recently, we do not recommend doing a firmware update through TeleCare. It will look like it's working, but most of the time it is going to either crash the app or it's going to crash the your fitting software, the connection. So we definitely recommend any firmware updates that you need to do to actually do those in the office, just because it requires way too much of a connectivity. We have a whole lot of information on our TeleCare within our website. So you can always reach out to me. I have lots of cheat sheets that I can send you. I have lots of information I can give you in order to get you started. But you can always go to our website. We have a lot of TeleCare information here for you. And our website is pro.signiausa.com. So you can get that information there. And then within our functionality of our website, you can go through different, just some information on TeleCare at a glance. We have a lot of great videos that we have posted on Audiology Online, and we have the links to those embedded within this website as well. A lot of quick guides to kind of walk you through the whole process. If you have any questions about anything, that can help walk you through those. And then, of course, we have some information on our Signia app that you as a provider can look over yourself. And it also has connection guides to help with your patient on their end as well. And that is everything I have. And I think I am just exactly out of time as well. But if you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to myself or Ray. Both of us are more than happy to help in any way that we can. And I'm just going to open up the floor now to any questions that anybody has. I'm happy to answer.
Anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself.
I have one. Well, actually two. Where in Shenandoah Valley do you live?
I am actually in Waynesboro, Virginia. Have you heard of it?
Well, I have family in Winchester.
Okay. So
and then I have family in Radford.
Oh, well, I went to Radford. Okay.
Yeah. And she taught there in nursing.
Oh, okay. I started out in nursing. That's so funny. Small world, isn't it?
It is. It is. Nice presentation. Thank you so much. I learned a
Thank
great
you.
deal.
Thank you. Awesome.
While we're on the topic, you're familiar with Newmarket?
Yes, I am.
So the Battle of Newmarket and the BMI, there's a museum at the Bushong Farm. They do reenactments there.
I'm
But,
sure I have been there.
That Civil War battle actually took place on my ancestors' farm.
Wow. What a small
Yeah.
world. Everybody in Washington has so many connections. That's
Yeah, so pretty cool.
yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm going to, at the moment, just remind everybody that Signia was gracious enough to donate a set of their top line hearing aids. Those will be on the virtual auction at 32auctions.com/WHS 2020. Be sure to go in and bid for them. Bid often and bid high.
Yes.
Anybody else have questions for Victoria?
Can we get a email address?
Absolutely. It is Victoria, Victoria dot Sarbin. It's S as in Sam, A, R, B as in boy, I, N as in Nancy, at W, S as in Sam, A.com.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And we will make sure that everybody gets a list. We'll email a list of all of the speakers and their email addresses out.
Perfect.